That was just testing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special meeting of the West Orange Board of Education. Tonight's July 10th, 2019, and let's begin. Mr. Calavano.
Mr. Alper?
Here.
Mrs. Merklinger?
Here.
Mrs. Mordecai?
Here.
Mr. Robertson?
Here.
Mrs. Trigg-Scales?
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Notice of
right.
meeting. Please take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided for in the following manner. That a written notice was sent from the Office of the Secretary of the Board at 4 p.m. on July 1st, 2019. That said notice was sent by regular mail to the West Orange Township Clerk and the editors of the West Orange Chronicle and the Star Ledger. That said notice was posted in the lobby of the Administration Building of the Board of Education.
Okay. Before we get to public comment, I just wanted to spend a minute or two talking about the process that we followed to get to tonight's vote. It was 6 months ago, right after our new members were both seated and I was elected president, that we began discussing the superintendent search process. 5 months ago, in February, we issued an RFP for search firms. We received a half dozen, which we narrowed to 3 and interviewed, and of those we hired RPAT Solutions. Can't say enough about the great job they did. Drs. Patterson and Rosado helped us write the ad, made sure it was well placed, screened the resumes, recommended candidates to advance, and also facilitated our public forums and ran the survey that drew nearly 1,900 responses from parents, staff, students, and community members. That survey was incredibly valuable to our decision-making process and led us straight to Dr. Cascone, who really checked off all the boxes of what our collective community was looking for, starting with teaching experience and job stability. So I thank RPAT again for their tremendous help, and I also thank everyone here and in the community who took part in that process, plus all of you who emailed us, who came to meetings and forums, who stalked us in ShopRite and at the gym. We could not have done this without your input, so thank you. Back to the process, we hired RPAT in March and advertised the position throughout April, which is also when the survey was conducted, and then the forums were held in early May as the posting closed. RPAT received more than 60 resumes, all from outside the district. We had no internal applicants. Resumes came from all over New Jersey and from outside the state. It was about a 60-40 split. Using the survey and the input from the forums, RPAT recommended 7 people for initial interviews by the board, which we conducted in mid-May. We advanced 3 candidates to a second-round interview a week later, which led to the selection of Dr. Cascone as our finalist. Board members checked references while an outside investigative firm conducted a thorough background check. And then as the process advanced, we had dinner with Dr. Cascone, visited his district in Old Bridge to see firsthand what he'd accomplished and what his colleagues had to say about him. And finally, we set up meetings for him with the acting superintendent and cabinet, with the whole administrative team, with the elected representatives of the administrator and teachers unions, with PTA presidents, with teachers, and with the community, leading us all, finally, 6 months after we as a board first met to discuss the process, here tonight. So I also want to thank my fellow board members for the amount of work they put in on this incredibly thorough process, including Mark and Cheryl on the PR committee, along with Perry Bashkoff and Cynthia Cummings for everything they've done to publicize each part of this process and get the word out now about Dr. Cascone. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank the staff members who stepped up to help over the past 9 months, taking on acting roles to let us keep moving forward with a minimum of disruption, including Liz Venenziano and, of course, Ms. DeMendez. Ebony really stepped up to the plate when we asked her to last fall, and I can't thank her enough for everything she's done. We were able to make significant progress this year on a number of long-standing initiatives, and while she was learning how to succeed in the often thankless job of acting superintendent, 2 of us were first-time board members who were learning the ropes, and I was learning how to lead the process as president. So it was not the easiest environment to step into and in an acting role to try to make a difference. Despite that, I think we got a lot done in the first half of this year and laid some fantastic groundwork for Dr. Cascone. I know Ms. Mendes is excited to be returning to her role in curriculum and instruction and to seeing her husband again. So I thank you again and him once more. And with that, we'll open it up for public comment. If anybody would like to say anything, you can come on up, give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes on the clock. Questions, comments? And if not, then we'll conclude that portion, and I will ask if we can have a motion for personnel item 1.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Calavano, let's vote.
Do you want any comment?
Oh,
Comments.
of course, thank you. Discussion, yes. Want to start with Ms. Trigg-Scales?
Yes, well, first I'd like to thank Mrs. Ebony DeMendez
for agreeing to be the captain of our ship. Not once, but twice you were asked, once in the fall and again in January. You have navigated the waters well. With your hands on the helm, we've encountered some choppy water and some calm waters, some massive waves, and a few whitecaps, but all the while with grace and confidence. November's snowstorm was one of those big waves, and with the phenomenal staff and crew, we weathered the storm. It was a long winter, and I think you'll recall I dubbed you the Snow Queen. Leading a school district this size is not for the faint of heart. Balancing the wishes of the public, the needs of the staff and students, and the direction of this board has required courage and heart. I can appreciate the challenge that this has been for the last 10 months, and for that I commend you for keeping our district on course. We are in a good place, heading for greatness. Dr. Cascone, I do believe in divine intervention. We were looking for you, and you were looking for us. The public was as shocked as we were that we could retain a search firm, RPAT, screen applications, pre-interview, interview twice, and select the candidate as expeditiously as we did. I'm going faster. Selecting a superintendent is the most important task that a Board of Ed can have. Not a task that all or each board member gets to be a part of. I, for one, am so honored and so proud to have been a part of this process. I am delighted that you are our new superintendent. And what I've come to learn about you is that you are an excellent educator, a leader among leaders, and a compassionate and caring individual who has vision for excellence. Welcome home.
I think Mr. Scales said it for everyone. I don't think there's much left to be said. But I do want to thank Mr. Mendez for stepping into this role of superintendent, while, of course, making sure that the ship stays level for the rest of the district, and the many acting roles that fell under you as well. So thank you for that. And November 15th, Snowmageddon was a true test. I'm still hearing from other districts about our shelter-in-place program and how well that went. So thank you for all your hard work and your leadership. Dr. Cascone, I look forward to working with you. I know we haven't officially had the voters yet, but welcome aboard. I've enjoyed this process. This is not my first superintendent search, but hopefully it's my last. I think you are a perfect fit for West Orange. And as Mr. Scales said, you do check all the boxes. You have the experience at every level, education level, and you're bilingual. We've never had a bilingual superintendent before. So that will work in the direction that our district is going now. We're growing leaps and bounds in our ELL demographics, so that's a true asset for us. So I look forward to working with you, and welcome aboard.
All right. Mr. Robertson.
Well, my colleagues have covered pretty much everything that I could possibly want to say. I do want to say, though, special thanks to Mr. Mendez for leading us through those challenging changes. Change is always stressful. Good changes are stressful as well. And for Mr. Calavano, because I know as BA, you get to pick up some extra weight on things too, and you help to lead as well. And just want to say I appreciate both of you. Then the folks behind the scenes like Liz Hughes, who is the glue that binds. Anything that happens passes across Liz's desk, and she helps us to keep things moving. Much thanks to the teachers, the administrators, parents, community members, the union leaders who came out to those meetings and shared their thoughts, asked very critical questions, and also shared their support. It was really a very supportive atmosphere in all these meetings, and that was it was just positive and supportive, and that was very reassuring. And thank you, Ken, because you had to juggle quite a bit in coordinating all the moving parts for this, and it's very time-consuming as well as complex, and you were stepping into a new role while taking on a leadership in a mammoth task. So well done. To Dr. Cascone, I am so thankful we found you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You have found your home. And I got to say that, it was beyond even checking the boxes. Your leadership as an educator, your compassion, you're just so down to earth that your down to earth sense will keep us grounded. But you also did, you brought so many things to the table for us. When I looked at the innovative programs that you either led or stewarded, or those are programs that will help us, initiatives that will help us, and they were so relevant to what our needs are. And I can't say enough as to how much you bring to us, and you've done it with such humility too. And we really appreciate that. So welcome, and I look forward to working with you.
All right. Ms. Merklinger.
So I think Terry kind of summed it up for all of us very well and eloquently, so thank you. I do want to thank Ebony for her time and commitment to running the district, to Liz for stepping in as assistant, and all the teachers and staff, administration who stepped up while we were working through this process. I want to thank all the parents in the community for their feedback, whether it was through social media or coming out to any of the meetings. It was truly appreciated. Your comments were very thoughtful. They were very thought-provoking. And I think they helped us to land on Dr. Cascone. And I'm very excited to have you and welcome you here to West Orange. I've grown up here my whole life, and I've seen so many different changes. So I look forward to what you bring to the table and bringing us to that next level that I think you can. So welcome.
Okay. Thank you. And with that, Mr. Calabano.
Mrs. Merklinger,
Yes.
Mr. Robertson,
Yes.
Mrs. Trigg Scales,
Yes.
Vice President Mordecai,
Yes.
President Alper,
Yes.
5-0. Congratulations.
Welcome aboard, and I think I can say we all look forward to the beginning of the Cascone era here in West Orange. Mrs. Cascone, girls, will still let you see him, at least on weekends, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
why don't you come on up and give us a few words?
Good evening, everyone. Members of the board, I would like to express my sincere appreciation and by proxy to the community of West Orange for this tremendous honor and opportunity to serve the almost 7,000 children of the West Orange Public Schools, the staff that work with them, and the parents who support them at home. I can honestly say that throughout this process, and Mr. Alper spoke a little bit about the process, that it was, first off, everything about this process has impressed me. Everything about the people with whom I've interacted, including the board, certainly not the least of which the board, but members of the community, some of whom I recognize here tonight that were also at the teacher sessions, and members of the administrative team, have been so positive, so optimistic. And I think that gives me a sense of confidence to come in that this is a community that's looking to move forward. What I've also seen in the process is a board that I think fully understood the gravity and the critical nature of the task that they were managing. It's always a critical task, but particularly at this time, in West Orange's path. I recognize the gravity of that. I recognize what's at stake, in this administration. And so one might think, well, what gives you the will, right, the confidence to step into a situation with so much at stake. And I think it is exactly that. It's exactly the nature of this community. And I think I forget who I said it to, but there's 7,000 children and probably close to 1,000 staff members who need a leader, right? And so we talked about in the public sessions the idea of John F. Kennedy's words of, ask not what you can do for your country, what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I think we need to rediscover that. you know, is that idea of service. And we have to stop living in fear. There's a lot of fear nowadays. Afraid, right? What are we afraid of, right? And coming together as a community. So I'd also like to thank Mr. Mendez. She's been wonderful in just the last several weeks and just kind of working with me in some of these meetings and providing information. I really look forward to working with her and really capitalizing on the expertise that she brings to bear. Now, actually, having served as the superintendent for some time will be invaluable for me. Of course, I have to thank my family who's here in attendance tonight. My mom and dad are here, John and Norma Gascon, my wife Diana, and my 3 daughters, Gabriella, Sophia, and Nora. This is certainly will stand out in my life as a milestone, one of those milestones in your life, personally and professionally. And I'm thrilled that I'm blessed to have you here to experience it with me. But there's also something symbolic about their presence here tonight. And this is really a message to the community, is that, and to everyone, is that behind every successful person, there's a support network of people who are helping them, sometimes having tough conversations, disciplining them, right? And this community is no different. And I honestly believe that parents are doing their level best, but we as a school district can certainly continue to do more and more to assist parents to be that support that their children need, and of course supporting our teachers in that as well. And finally, the symbolism of bringing families together, right? So this idea of bringing, yes, Dr. Gascon, the educator and the educational leader, but also Dr. Gascon, the father, the son, the brother. This was something we talked about in our community forums as well, this idea of humanity, right? Bringing back the human element of our interaction. Certainly when one looks at the larger national discourse, it's easy to see that humanity's been lost. Let's bring it back. Let's realize that at the end of the day, yes, we have jobs to do, but we're people. And we have to ultimately interact with each other as people and as human beings with feelings and emotions and backgrounds to be aware of. So certainly you'll get to hear a lot more from me. So I'm going to cut it here. And again, in closing, thank you. I truly look forward to serving this community. I will work tirelessly to do that. My family and I are ready for that commitment. And it's going to be a great ride. We're going to do great things. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And that is all. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right. We have public comment. We're good. Stick around for cake.